So the Lucknow Super Giants, they're basically tearing up their entire playbook. After a really disappointing season full of superstar failures, they are heading into the IPL auction with a completely new, kind of radical plan. And look, this isn't just about buying a few new players. We're talking about a complete identity overhaul. Let's break down what is, for sure, a pretty high-stakes gamble. Right, this is the big question, isn't it? The one that must have kept the Lucknow front office up at night. How on earth can a team that is just glittering with international superstars end up as a mid-table afterthought? I mean, on paper, they looked absolutely invincible, but out there on the field, something was just broken. And this number says it all. 7th. For a team with this much raw talent, it's not just a bad result, it's a total failure. It's a huge red flag that the old way of just collecting big names, yeah, that's not working anymore. And that brings us to the core choice they're facing for this rebuild. What do you do? Do you double down on glamour, chase the biggest names out there? Or do you pivot to precision and actually build a team where every single piece has a specific purpose? This isn't just a choice for one season, by the way. This is a decision that's going to define their entire future. To really get why this choice is so critical, you have to look at the pattern here. This isn't about one bad year. It's about a team that has consistently looked brilliant on paper, but has completely crumbled when the pressure is on, because they just lacked a coherent structure to back up all that star power. I mean, just look at the talent they've held on to. You've got the explosive batting of Pan and Paran, and then you've got the all-round brilliance of Markram and Marsh. This is the kind of core that should be challenging for the title, no question. But the reality has been nowhere close. So all of this has forced the management to make a pretty bold diagnosis. The problem isn't a lack of talent, it's a lack of strategy. And their solution is pretty radical. They are consciously shifting away from just, collecting shiny new toys. And make no mistake, this isn't some minor tweak. This is a full-blown statement of intent. By letting go of 3 really high-profile players, the team has drawn a line in the sand, basically saying, your reputation means nothing if you don't fit the system. From here on out, it's all about performance and function. And just look at the money involved here. This isn't about freeing up a couple of roster spots. This is a massive financial reset. Releasing Bishnoi for 11 crore, especially, that proves this is a strategic overhaul, not just a budget cut. They are sacrificing a huge asset to fund a completely new philosophy. Yeah, and the data on Bishnoi really tells the story of diminishing returns. Fewer wickets and an economy rate that just kept getting worse, ballooning to almost 11. For 11 crore, you just can't be a liability. This is the cold, hard evidence that's driving their new, more data-focused approach. And here it is. This is the new mantra, the phrase that's going to define their success or failure: structure over status. It means valuing a specialist death bowler more than a big-name batsman who doesn't quite fit the lineup. It's a philosophy that, honestly, demands a ton of discipline and a really clear vision. Okay, so how does this whole new philosophy actually translate into an auction strategy? With the mini-auction right around the corner on December 16th, let's take a look at their battle plan. This is where all that theory gets put to the test. This is their war chest, just under 23 crore to fill 6 crucial gaps. Now, it's enough to be competitive, for sure, but it's definitely not enough to be reckless. Every single bid has to be precise. There is absolutely no room for error or getting dragged into those expensive bidding wars. And they've already made a really smart, proactive move before the auction even starts. By trading for Mohammed Shami, they've locked in a veteran leader with 133 IPL wickets to his name. He immediately brings stability to a pace attack that was just constantly let down by injuries last season. So that leaves them with a really clear 3-point mission for the auction. Okay, priority 1, get the death bowling specialist to lock down those final overs. Priority 2, find a reliable Indian spinner to control the middle of the innings. And priority 3, add an explosive overseas all-rounder to finish games. Simple, right? These are the non-negotiables. So who are the actual players on their radar? Let's dive into some of the specific targets they might be aiming for to plug these really critical gaps in their team. Okay, their number 1 priority. It has to be fixing their death bowling. It was their Achilles heel last year, and it cost them multiple games, no doubt. They had some pace, sure, but they just lacked that cold-blooded specialist who could execute when the pressure was at its absolute highest. Now, one name that just perfectly fits the bill is Matheesha Pathirana. He's got that express pace, those pinpoint Yorkers, and that super deceptive Malinga-like action that makes him a nightmare for batsmen in the final overs. The only red flag, his injury history. It's a classic high-risk, high-reward prospect that could honestly define their entire season.
Now, when it comes to replacing Ravi Bishnoi, their strategy is really telling. They're not looking for another high-profile star to make a splash. Instead, what they really need is a reliable Indian spinner who can just control the tempo in those middle overs, choke the run rate, and build pressure for the strike bowlers at the other end.
And finally, we have the finisher role, which brings us to the ultimate auction dilemma, Cameron Green. I mean, on one hand, he is the perfect fit, a powerful hitter and a very useful bowler. But on the other hand, he could easily eat up half of their entire budget. And that forces a really tough question. Is one perfect but super expensive solution worth sacrificing the depth of the entire squad? That's the huge gamble they have to weigh. So, all of this, it leads to the ultimate question. Have they really turned a corner with this new strategy? Or are the same old problems, injuries and a lack of cohesion, going to derail them all over again when the pressure's really on?
And the biggest shadow hanging over this whole new plan is injuries. They are placing a massive bet on Mayank Yadav coming back to full fitness after surgery, while other key pacers like Avesh and Mohsin Khan also have big question marks over their durability. And this, right here, is precisely why their pivot to building a deep, functional squad is so important. A team with depth can survive injuries. A team built on just a few fragile stars simply cannot.
So this is it. This is the final test. The structure over status philosophy sounds smart, it sounds modern, but is it resilient? When the auction pressure really mounts and some flashy superstar suddenly becomes available, are they going to hold their nerve and stick to the plan? Or will they go back to their old, comfortable, and ultimately failed habits? Lucknow's entire 2026 season really does hang on that choice.